That's what Queensland are missing, I think, at the back there. A fullback that can get you 200 plus metres in a game. That's the only worry I have by moving Hammer back there. But at the moment, with how KP's playing, I would strongly consider someone else back there.
That's right. Well, you got to have Hammer in the team, I think, because he can break the game open.
Yeah.
And, he plays at fullback at club level, has done a really good job. And then I think, you get Taulagi in there, who's very good defensive winger, gets through a lot of
hard yards
stuff,
as well, yeah.
Which we kind of, the Maroons missed out on tonight.
Yep.
New South Wales are all over Queensland in terms of their back three. So maybe that's a little
because
to approach
unfortunately for KP, he dropped, was it 3 bombs?
Yeah.
3 or 4 bombs.
Yep. Lost his headgear twice.
You can't have that.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
At this level.
Got bounced off by Cleary. Got lucky that Carrigan had an escort there or someone in his way. I think that Billy probably has to have a real hard look at that fullback position because I just think KP's just out of form, unfortunately.
And confidence.
Yeah.
You see with the bombs, KP's a lead under the high ball.
Yeah.
He always has been. And when he's dropping bombs I know the conditions are bad, but there were some pretty soft ones as well. And Kalyn Ponga said to you boys during the game, I've never watched an Origin game that Kalyn Ponga's played where every time he gets the ball in Origin, my heart sinks. It just drops because, oh shit, what's he going to do? How's he going to kill us this time? The last 2 games, I forgot he's playing at times. I'm then he got the ball goes, I'm like, cool, we'll sort him. We'll be fine here.
Yeah, so it's it sounds tough after a win, but if you've got that many errors and you haven't, I think there was one half kind of line back that he had. It's just a real question we have to ask ourselves. It's a little bit similar to the DCE one where we need someone in that's going to be bringing energy around the ruck. He's going to be making their catches and their tackles, and definitely a question that I think Billy should be considering because we just can't afford to go into game 3 and have that many drop balls. We just we'll lose 13 plus.
With 2 good club games, does Walsh come into the combo?
I don't think so. I think I want someone with a lot of match fitness, and I just want someone getting through a lot of work. And I just worry that Walshy probably needs more time to get back to his peak match fitness again.
Would it have been AJ Brimson if he didn't defect?
Well, I said it in the selection table at the start. I think everyone laughed at me, but
you know what? It's a fair point, mate. You're right. It's a fair point. Brim right back.
He's got meters in him. He's got the ball playing. He's a solid defender.
Solid defender. Good. Yeah. So look, we'll see. Now back to the positives though. I thought Harry Grant was way better this game.
Agreed.
Way better. And we discussed it leading into it. How will this team that essentially doesn't have a long kicking game, how will they get points with this current roster? And I think you saw exactly how Billy Slater hoped. It was as soon as Harry Grant sees a quick play the ball, get on the front foot and just play short passing around the ruck. And we scored multiple tries from it. And there was a bit of pushback from the comment section, and understandably so, saying, you've got Craig Bellamy in the opposing coach's box. How are they going to do that against the guy that bloody created that? But it's one thing to coach it, doesn't mean you can stop it. And I think that we saw on the weekend that even though it's coming, Harry Grant is so good at getting out and that short passing around the ruck that we saw the benefits of having Dearden and Munster and players, Kurt Mann being around the ruck, and obviously KP as well at times. And I think that that's a real positive for Queensland. Our out the back plays and edge plays is pretty poor, to be honest. You watch some of our attacking sets, they are. But when we do get a quick play the ball and Harry Grant is on the front foot, we do look dangerous. That's when we look the most dangerous. Outside of that, we don't look dangerous at all. So that's a real positive for Billy Slater that we're seeing the style of footy that he's trying to play.
100%. I thought Harry Grant was, definitely much improved from game 1. He's obviously someone who would have been pretty disappointed with how it all unfolded in game 1, but he was very dangerous, particularly through that first half. A lot of the point scoring opportunities came with the back of him, getting it out of there and scooting around and using the momentum from there. So big game from him. Thought he was outstanding. Particularly in that first half.
Yeah, he was outstanding. That in game 1, he was underdone. He came in off a hamstring injury where he'd played 55 minutes in one game for the Storm, and he looked underdone, and on top of it, he had a few moments that didn't go his way. At the end of the day, you can be the best hooker in the world. If your fullback's not doing anything for you and you're getting no momentum, you're not going to do anything. You're not going to have a platform. I think here's the difference tonight. Do we know who got man of the match yet?
Sure.
Apparently it was Munster.
Yeah, well, it should have been Harry Grant.
Should have been Harry Grant.
Harry Grant was the best on the field in my eyes.
Or Brian Tyre, to be honest. Yeah.
Or Brian Tyre.
Yeah.
Just that ruck recognition that it was just changed the game, and everything good that they came. You sort of alluded to it a little earlier, Kempy, but coming out of dummy half and just having Munster pushing up off him and having Dearden pushing up off him, as opposed to DCE who sort of just would sit back and wait, which Ches doesn't do at his best for the record, but he's just doing it this year. He was brilliant. Like the try set up for Cam Munster, it was a bit of sloppy marker work. It was Payne Haas there and Stefano to command it. And Stefano, I need to see it again, but it looked like he missed his assignment and he didn't go and follow Harry. But Harry just looked up and went, thank you, and took off. And it was game over there. Munster pushes up, pops him through.
Yep.
Just a little thing. A lot of hookers don't see that.
Yeah, and that was off Carrigan as well. So, again, the game plan that I thought Billy Slater would use, which was you bring a guy like Carrigan off to get a quick play the ball, to unlock a guy like Harry Grant. It seems to be what they were going for. And the promising sign is in game 1, we didn't see any of that. Literally none of that. So at the very least going into game 3, there is evidence of like, this can work. Like Harry Grant, his form with more games under his belt, with Dearden and Munster both working with him more, with if it's Hammer or KP at back, either one, just that quick play the ball. Doesn't need to be, the scary thing about, like a lot of people think that, because the question against it was, how are you going to win the ruck against a much bigger Blues forward pack? And it's like, you don't need to win every ruck. You just need to win one tackle. And so it doesn't matter how much better a forward pack is. They don't win every single tackle. And that's the beauty of Harry Grant. If he can just get 2 or 3 tackle wins a half close to the try line, that's 2 or 3 tries. And so I think that's a really, really positive sign that we saw the Billy Slater game plan and it was executed and we scored off it. What you got there, Matty?
Cameron Munster, man of the match. Confirmed.
Munster, man of the match. Talk about Nathan Cleary with the quad injury. Now, it's hindsight. But is there a world where, do you reckon he play, like if Mitch Moses is fit, do you reckon he plays? I'm not sure if he does.
Because there was a bit of chat a day or two before, wasn't there? He missed the final captain's run with the side, and they sort of said, it was just like a bit of a load management thing, and kind of waved it off a little bit. But
because he was clearly hampered.
He was. He didn't run with them at all in that session. And I mean, obviously the fact that other guys were taking kicks, particularly early in the game, where you probably think setting the tone, they'd want him to be doing that. Yeah, he didn't look right. To his credit, when we first kind of really drew attention to his hamstring while we were watching, he did kind of go through and score. It was testing that hamstring out a little bit, but quad.
Yeah,
but yeah, definitely hampered him through the game and affected particularly his kicking game.
Do you think he plays if Moses is fit?
Jeez, yeah, I probably do. Yep. I think at this stage, all the noise, all the chat, he's got to dominate us. I think he'd want to be out there.
Okay.
Yeah. I think, absolutely plays if Moses is there because there's even more of a foil to take over those long kicking games because I actually thought his running game was quite good at different stages tonight. His long kicking game was obviously not there, but not only did he have the disallowed try where he took off really well on that one, there was another one for that, I think it was the initial try where Luai kicked through him behind the line. That one there, like he took off across field, he brought blokes under, dug in, went deep. He looked like he was running fine. He wasn't kicking fine.
Yeah.
So I think Moses there, he just becomes the dominant kicker.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know if he felt pressured to play because your depth in the halves isn't as it's strong. They're probably not going to debut Katoa. If he doesn't play, who would be the next 7 up? Do you think?
Well, because it only happened, a day or two before the game, he'd probably got to bring Burton in and put Lua at 7.
Yeah,
would be the
and so that's why I'm just curious. I don't know what the answer is, but I wonder if he felt pressure to play, because you could tell he was limping when he was walking.
Yeah,
and I agree with you, Timmy. He still showed these great signs of like great running game, but his kicking game was definitely off. Like definitely off. Remember that first kick he did where it like literally almost went backwards.
Yeah.
He never does that.
Yep.
He never does that. And he kicked one out in the full as well. I just wonder. I wonder if he felt pressure.
He didn't kick goals either.
What do you reckon, Matty? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would like to think that he wouldn't play because he to me he didn't look great at all. I thought he looked his running game he looked okay, but I thought he was a complete harsh word. He's a passenger out there because he's injured. Like nothing to do with it. Like, it's just because he's injured. And I would like to think that if Moses was fit, then Cleary would be like, all right, I'm no good. But I think you're right. I think what other option did New South Wales have? I reckon that's a definite possibility that he was like, I'm the last option here.
Just because he did, even with his running game was solid at times for sure, but it definitely wasn't as explosive as his running game last week as well. So I'd be really interested to see whether he almost made a sacrifice knowing he'd be underdone, but he was the best option for New South Wales.
Because you don't really want to partner Luai and Burton because I don't think so. They're too alike in being 5'8", but That being said, with how good a team the Blues have, I think on short notice, being over in Perth, if it was bad enough, Luai could have played as the 7.
Okay.
And I think we would have been okay. It's not ideal, of course it's not, but Luai's done it before, and he's done it successfully. Not for the Blues as a 7, but we've seen him play there, and I think they would have been okay because there was such a good team around him. The job's not that hard, all right?
Okay, here's a question then. Let's say the quad pulls up sore, he's strained it or whatever. He got through the game because he's mentally tough. We all know how tough Cleary is. He strained it. Who comes in? Because, like, I personally think there is I don't necessarily say he's under an injury cloud, but I do think that there's a question as to whether that quad is... Like, I don't think he's going to play... Well, he's definitely not playing this week, but I actually reckon even next week they might consider resting him because it's a load... If they make him go out and play, and then all of a sudden, if he doesn't play next week and his quad's not 100%, because Moses is not going to be back. So let's say in some crazy world his quad isn't right and something bad happened tonight. Who plays 7 for you guys for New South Wales?
I think it's probably Isaiah Katoa.
I think it is.
I agree.
I think it would be Katoa, and if I'm Daly, I'd be calling Katoa like almost. Obviously, I'd be speaking to Cleary first, and I'd be essentially saying, "Listen, Cleary is pretty much good to go for Game 3. However, if he goes down, start to get your head in the right space.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be waiting till like a week before a selection time to be saying that, having that combo.
To be honest, I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't been in around the squad at all so far. Just in the extended, just sort of sitting there, watching him train, getting a bit of a feel for it anyway, to make this sort of transition a little bit easier. But I'd be throwing him in there for the next game for sure.
If Cleary's
not fit. The other one, which I'm sure you're probably going to get to, Luai, is he going to face a little bit of time on the sideline?
Yeah, we didn't speak of that. Yeah, the facial. Yeah.
So does what happens there if you got to have 2 new halves?
Yeah. Okay. So you'd probably go Burton and wouldn't you?
Probably. Or I mean, who's going to be the 18th man then? If Burton? He's got to start.
Nah, cancel the game. Cancel the game.
So probably Burton and Katoa.
Yeah. What do you reckon, boys? What thoughts on that? If Luai does get a few weeks.
Yeah, probably got to be Matty Burton. I think.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I mean,
I think that's an easy one. Burton straight into 6.
Burton straight in 6.
I think 7's the harder one, and I know he's not in form, but I think I'd feel safer if Adam Reynolds got through 1 or 2 games for the Broncos just to kick us around in Game 3, and then hopefully Luai can be the spot.
I'd definitely be going. I see what you're saying. Definitely, it makes sense. I'd be going Katoa. I believe in him so much.
I got a bit more to digest.
Test everything. Yeah, fair.
But I'm not against Matty. I thought the same with Adam Reynolds because, I think Katoa goes in and produces more points, but you're putting is he 22, 21?
21.
He's a 21-year-old in there in an Origin decider. The pressure on him there. He'll be in our halves for the Blues for a long time when he gets the opportunity, but the level experience of head of Adam Reynolds going there. The kicking game's the key one, as you said. Birdo's got the long kicking game. Short kicking game's all right, but say Birdo was 6. I just want the short kicking game of Adam Reynolds. Our halves don't need to start. We've got the strike. We've got the points. So I'm absolutely okay if it were to be Adam Reynolds. That being said, you put Isaiah Katoa in there with how deep and square he plays into the line, the amount of time he will get Critter and Latrell.
Stop it. Okay, is this, I'm with Hammy. I would have actually already had him in the squad. Is this more evidence that you need Katoa in that squad Game 3 no matter what?
Yep, 100%.
Well, he would have been there, I think, because the Dolphins don't play in round 18. They played in round 12 and round 15 when the Origin camps were together. So he would have been on Dolphins duty. So they're going, we don't want to lose him.
But he was down, wasn't Game 1 he down in Sydney and he played on a Saturday night? He could have spent the week with them? I'm pretty sure he was down in Sydney and they played...
Could have stayed with them for a few days.
And he could have stayed with them a few days.
Probably.
Yeah.
But they might have just had a plan to go, you know what, the Dolphins are on the bye in round 18. Let's get him into the camp for that week.
Yeah.
That seems logical to me. But
do you think so? Essentially, though, guaranteed Katoa's going to be in the camp. What do you reckon?
Has to be.
Yeah.
Has to. He will be in that squad somewhere. I don't know if he'll be starting, but he'll be in that squad somewhere.
I'd just throw him in based on his form for Tonga last year in big games against Australia. They beat Australia in one of those games, didn't they? Last year in the...
No, they beat New Zealand in a big game.
They beat New Zealand in a big game. And then he played great footy, though, against Australia. In the final, and took him to a final as well. He's done a pretty good apprenticeship. He's like the most informed half in the comp, I'd probably say, at the moment.
There's no doubt about that.
So
yeah.
I reckon just get him in there.
But like the Blues are going to go in, the market will be up, I'm sure. But the Blues will go,
$1.40 something.
yeah, the Blues will go in as firm favourites into that game.
$1.42, Queensland 2.89.
And there's just uncertainty around a 21-year-old debutant leading a side around. Whereas Adam Reynolds goes in there, I know he'll do a job. I know his kicking game will be elite. I'm okay with it. It's from one end of the scale to the other. Isn't
Yep.
it?
Yeah. Interesting though, like, you know, how quickly you can go from having an abundance of halves.
God.
Like literally Moses, Cleary, all these guys to, you know, depending on how Cleary pulls up, how he's going to train. Moses is definitely not going to be back for game 3, you know, with a calf strain. I'd highly doubt that he would recover.
He's looking at around 21, so...
Yeah, so
he's
like
had a setback.
he's gone. So yeah, really, really interesting to see what they do there.